Now it's 7 o'clock. Okay. We have a pretty full agenda, but in keeping with our announcements and things of interest up front of the meeting, we'd like to introduce the meeting tonight with a couple of educational sort of videos with two subjects that are very near and dear to our heart. One is disposables, and the other is grease. And these two videos that we're going to show, they're only 6 minutes and 3 minutes, so please bear with us. I'm sure it'll be the most interesting part of the whole meeting. They were produced by the Spokane, Washington Waste Treatment Center, who has an excellent website I would encourage anyone to go with who's interested in these kinds of things. It's SpokaneWastewater.org. And these videos they made available to us to show and to, in their words, thanks for spreading the word. So please watch. It really is important to the system, and it will help us all reduce our costs. So Barb, if we...
However, when a clog occurs, everything backs up and things can get messy. As the population grows and more flushable items come on the market, clogs are becoming more prevalent. To ensure that the pipes in your home don't clog or back up, pre-treatment technician Tracy Stevens put on the white lab coat and is going to teach us a little bit about the science of sewage.
So we're going to do a bit of an experiment now. We're going to take various things that I would like to convince you not to put down in the toilet, but you'd probably be more likely to not put it down if you see what it does rather than just listening to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these various types of tissue in here, and then we'll turn it on and we'll watch how quickly they fall apart or don't fall apart. So we have our 1-ply tissue, 3-ply. We're going to roll toilet paper here from here at the plant. Plush toilet paper that one of my colleagues brought in from home. Thank you, Alyssa. One brand of flushable wipes and the other brand of flushable wipes. And we'll turn this on and see what happens. The regular toilet paper is designed to fall apart. And while, as we saw, the plush toilet paper will eventually fall apart, it really is more, its marketing is that it's going to be soft and strong. And if it's nice and strong and quilted, it's going to take a lot more to get it to break up.
The findings? Both toilet papers flushed and broke down like they were supposed to. However, when it came to the facial tissue,
it's just not designed to go down the toilet. Toilet paper is specifically designed to fall apart when you flush it, and facial tissue is designed to not fall apart when you blow your nose in it. So, as you can see, it's not falling apart.
And the wipes?
What you're seeing is not much. They've been spinning for, 1 or 2 minutes now, and they're completely intact. I think perhaps what you're seeing in the cloudiness in flushable wipe A is some lotion that's coming off of it. So this has certainly been agitated as much as it would have been if it had gone through your toilet flush, and they're still completely whole. And I want to have just to demonstrate a few other things that people very frequently will flush that they shouldn't. So I have some dental floss here. That's about how much I use. So we'll plop that one in here, Q-tips, or ear swabs. We'll put 2 because most people have 2 ears. And then we have some feminine hygiene products here. We have a panty liner, and we have a tampon. Okay, and one final thing, I'm going to put a couple Q-tips and some dental floss into this number 5 here. Just see what happens there. In this first jar, we have dental floss. And no surprise, it's not dissolving, but it is wrapping itself around the propeller shaft, which it will do in any kind of pump and anything that spins. In the next one, we have Q-tips, and they do look like they might be falling apart a little bit, but they several times have already jammed it and made it stop running, and we'll come back to that. I bet it'll jam up in another minute here. This is the panty liner, and it's just swimming. It's not really doing anything at all. Off to the next one, this is a tampon, and as you can see, it's jammed itself between the propeller and the side of the beaker, and it's stopped the blade. And in number 5, we have the Q-tips and dental floss, and the dental floss has tied the Q-tips to the propeller, and anything else that was in there with that dental floss would be tied to the propeller as well. If you come back here to the Q-tips, you see that they've jammed up that blade and it can't spin anymore.
As you can see, none of these items are broken down.
Don't flush them. Toilet paper, that's it. Toilet paper and what comes out of you. Everything else, put it in the garbage can.
Cat owners, take heed. This flushable kitty litter has been in the spin chest for 4 hours, and not only does it not dissolve, but
Just emptied out the flushable kitty litter after it had been stirring for several hours, and as you can see, it doesn't dissolve. The brown that you saw in the water, that was just some of the dust that was in it, but it essentially is the same sand that it was when it went in.
and that means that if you've already flushed this flushable kitty litter, it might not have ever left the pipes under your home.
If these things get caught up in your pipes, which are quite a bit smaller than our pipes, it can cause a clog and you can get your sewer backed up into your basement, and you really don't want that. And then of course, once it gets to the lift station, if it jams up in the pumps will stop, and then your whole neighborhood can back up.
While a product may be marketed as flushable, it might not actually be safe for the pipes under your home.
If you define flushable as yes, it will go down the toilet, then everything here is flushable. If you define it as whether it will make it to the treatment plant, then all of these things could eventually make it to the treatment plant, and maybe 1 time out of 10 or 1 time out of 20, they don't. And with hundreds of thousands of people out there flushing these things down, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000, they're going to cause trouble.
Ultimately, the only thing that should ever get flushed down your toilet is human waste and toilet paper. Anything else can cause backups in the system and headaches for you. For more information about our wastewater system, log on to SpokaneWastewater.org.
Thank you, Barb. Well, Barb sets up for the second one, which is half the length of that, so please bear with us because it's just as interesting. Just again to remind you that our second biggest cost, right after the paying Leominster and Fitchburg to take our waste, the second biggest cost driver to us is our pump stations and maintenance of the pump stations, and these kinds of things really do cause us trouble almost on a daily basis. We're also just now converting over, you'll hear a little later, to being charged our wastewater as it enters the town that it's going to. And in order to do that, there are meters at the exit points of our system, and those meters are very easily disturbed by any of these kind of materials that might be in the measuring device itself. So it becomes even more important to make sure that we pay for what we send and don't pay any more. Because in general, failures due to this look like we're sending more water and therefore more billing. So please consider this. And this, as well as even more the next one perhaps, is not just sewer related. Septic systems and are just as susceptible. So everyone should be interested and try to learn from these videos. So, Barb, we have the grease video.
Out of sight, out of mind. That's how we generally treat what goes down the drain. However, what we don't know can hurt us. What we may have dumped down the drain months ago may have never left.
It's so easy to say you think out of sight, out of mind, but things don't actually go away. There is no away.
If this all seems a little cloudy, let's clear up the fog.
Fog, which is fats, oils, and grease. Those things that we tend to put down the sink with a lot of hot water and soap and think that they're going to be gone, well, they're not gone. They get cold very quickly in the pipes.
Ultimately, the best way to keep your pipes flowing freely is to recognize what fog is and how to dispose of it properly.
So things like sour cream, dips, mayonnaise, salad dressings, dairy products such as ice cream, cottage cheese, other cheeses, they're very high in fat, and they'll do what every other kind of fat does when you get it down your drain. They'll clog up your pipes. Cooking oil also should not go down the drain because any kind of oil, if it gets cold enough, is going to be solid and can also combine with other chemicals in the sewer system to cause clogs.
And if you have a garbage disposal, feel free to use it. But consider going green. By placing your food scraps in your clean green waste bin or in your home compost pile, you'll keep your drains clear of any obstructions. Some foods are greasy by nature. The best thing to do with the grease that's left behind is to wipe it up and dispose of it in your garbage. Leftover cooking oil should either be mixed with an absorbent like coffee grounds or kitty litter and disposed of in your garbage. Fog doesn't just originate in the kitchen, but in your bathroom as well. When it comes to what gets flushed down your toilet, it's really pretty simple. Toilet paper and human waste. That's it.
There are a lot of companies right now that are advertising things as flushable, and we gotta take that with a big old grain of salt because wipes are causing clogs all over the country. They get into the pumps in the pump stations, and they clog those pumps up and they bring everything to a screeching halt.
And even though the texture is similar,
You don't even want to flush facial tissue. These things really aren't designed to come apart. If you look at toilet paper when you mix it with water, put it in a jar, shake it up, it just ferments. You do that with a paper towel, and they advertise that paper towels don't come apart, right? Well, it's the same thing in that when you blow your nose, it doesn't fall apart in your hand with the tissue. Those are the things you don't want to put down your toilet.
fog is the #1 cause of sewer backups nationwide. So when it comes to the pipes under your home, remember,
The sewer system, which is what takes the waste from your house to our plant, was designed really only for water and human waste and toilet paper. Anything else can block up the sewer system, can get caught in pumps.
for more information about fog and the wastewater management department, log on to SpokaneWastewater.org.
Okay. So that was our monthly sort of advertisement for the system. There's one other upfront thing I would like to do, and that's to make a public thank you to Mike Nault, a member of our commission here, for our elegant new nameplates that the commission has. I hope you can see them at home. They're pretty impressive. So, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, while Barb runs back up here to start taking minutes.
Mr. Chair, if I can make a comment on the grease video. Working in other towns that I do, I've seen the pipes get clogged by grease. It's a very expensive and a big ordeal to get the grease out of the city grease lines. But it's also just as important to you as a homeowner, if you have septic or regular, to understand that every time you pour grease down that drain, I'm sure every homeowner had a backup somewhere in their drains, and most likely it's caused by grease. So to save money for you or the homeowner, try to do some of the methods that you just saw.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Dave. That's very well done. And a number of septic users, as I have pumps in their system to pump the septic, and they're very susceptible to these kind of issues. So, good. So appointments. We have a appointment this evening. First one is with Dave Meiser, 51 Jocelyn Street. Who, if you come to the podium and introduce yourself, I would appreciate it.
Thanks. I'm David Meisner. This is Diane from 49 Joslin Street. Please find photos that I supplied, gentlemen and madam, of a proposed sewer plan from the year 2000 with the sewer line connection for 51 Joslin Street. And as you can see on the plan, the connection is clearly drawn in. I know it's small print, and all we had at home was a pink highlighter, so please bear with us. Diane and I viewed this plan at the town hall in 2003, prior to the purchase at public auction of 51 Joslin Street. We also at that time acquired about additional fees, such as a betterment. It was expressed to us that the town owned the lot and the sewer line already was installed in the street and run by the property with a connection stub to the lot, so there wouldn't be a betterment fee. Unfortunately, we have no documentation to back this up. We purchased 51 Joslin at public auction in '03 from the town of Lunenburg for $81,000. And the price was definitely on the high end at that time, even for the 2003 market. We currently have a PNS agreement at $60,000, which is not bad in today's market. We're taking it on the chin and taking a loss at the $60,000 selling price that we have under agreement. We're losing about a third of our investment on the selling price, and especially when you add in that we financed a good part of it for 10 years. We're prepared to take this loss as is, but the assessment of a betterment fee at this time would create a financial hardship, as I have been unemployed and haven't worked since I returned from Afghanistan last year. And I agree, try to tell a soldier, I'm a plumber by trade, try to tell a soldier he can't use a baby wipe after he's been out in the field for, geez, I don't know, long missions. So yeah, they're definitely a problem. We're guilty of not knowing the betterment process and having no documentation to substantiate our claim.
Do you remember who told you you didn't have to have a betterment?
You know what, I do, and they prefer to not come forward and stay off the record, unfortunately. We have no documentation, and please take this into consideration.
Okay, thank you, that's pretty clear and
Thank you.
succinctly put, so.
All right,
thank you.
thanks.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.
So just maybe before you sit down, just in case there's any further questions, I just have one in terms of the timing, just to make sure I understood.
Yes.
So the land was purchased from the town of Lunenburg,
Yes,
and the stub was put in before you were there.
according to the plan in front of you, it should have been. We're not sure it's in. I'm not sure it's in.
Okay, so there may or may not be a stub there.
Right.
But so the complicating thing to me still is the town of Lunenburg owned it when the system went in. When the betterments were assessed, was it did it belong to you, or who did it belong to when the betterments were
What
assessed?
year were the betterments assessed?
2008.
Oh, 08.
Yes, it did belong to us.
And
when I
there was
didn't
no
get-
and
when
there
I
was no
didn't get
betterment
one, it just
assessed.
Excuse me?
And there was no betterment assessed at that time.
No, and I just thought because it was included.
It was recorded in the betterment lists as insufficient frontage and acreage. It's just .19 acres.
Not even.
and
Okay,
It's
so
a small,
not given it
non-conforming
So
grandfather's
it was
lot.
an unbuildable lot.
it was determined to be unbuildable, which is why there was no betterment.
Right. Right.
Which, when we bought it at auction, prior to the auction, the building inspector, the auctioneer asked him if it was buildable, and he said yes at the time, so.
Any other questions from the commission to clarify what the situation is?
Mr. Chair, are you looking to build a house on the lot, or?
We have a purchase and sale,
We're gonna sell it.
yeah, we want to sell it,
Just an empty lot right now,
Yep.
you want to sell it? And you want to sell it as a buildable lot?
yes,
And have you checked with the building department to see if it is a buildable lot?
yes.
And they said it is.
It was, yes, and it is.
They went up to a ZBA hearing.
Okay, so this went through the ZBA to get from unbuildable to buildable. Okay.
So the outcome at the ZBA was, it is a buildable lot?
By special permit?
Zoning approved it. And then it went back to Mike, who deemed it buildable.
Is it only buildable if you have sewer? There's not enough room to put a septic system in there.
You know what, I don't think so.
Oh, but that's a good question and direction, though. Was that a presumption was that having to do with the ruling to make it buildable?
From the ZBA?
Yeah?
No, sir.
There was no discussion on septic or anything in the ZBA? And the purchase and sale is contingent upon connection to the septic, is that?
To the
to
sewer?
the sewer, I mean? Or,
Yes.
that wasn't a very good, it's kind of a leading
No,
question,
that's
actually.
okay.
The way Mike stated it, they did give him a special permit to allow the lot to be a buildable lot. The issue was the ownership and whether the lot was combined
Right,
and
that was the
whatnot.
zoning, the
Right.
ZBA problem.
And so the ZBA ruled that it was done unintentionally, so now they're
Yes.
separate lots. Up until that time, it remained buildable until the lots were
Right.
named under the same ownership.
When we refied in 2006, was it, Dee? Yeah, we had our house in a trust because of the zoning laws, and we inadvertently took our home out of trust, and that's why it became unbuildable. We had no idea, unfortunately, but the ZBA was very reasonable.
Right. And I think the issue is that it was grandfathered as a buildable.
Right, yes, it was.
Right.
But it's, those probably aren't even relevant to the sewer commissioner decision, but
That's
it's
okay.
good to know that
The
background.
history, sure.
But it seems,
So one question.
because it certainly can be, I mean, it can be sold without
Yes.
connecting to septic, I mean, so.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
it's not a requirement of the sale.
No,
or-
sir.
Okay.
we're here to just ask for leniency on the betterment fee. You know, I wish they would come on record,
But
who we talked to about it, but
but technically, there's no, at this point, there's no betterment. I think it falls into the privilege fee category,
Okay.
which kicks in when somebody requests to connect to the sewer, would be my,
right.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at it.
are you
This-
requesting to connect to the sewer?
Yes. I hadn't thought about that. I'm requesting leniency on the betterment fee.
But again, the betterment is done. We didn't put a betterment on that lot. And
Okay.
the betterment is over, that's behind us.
So
So
what?
at this point,
to
if
move-
nobody ever connects to sewer, there is no fee, as I can tell. What would create a fee at this point?
No, I would think that if it became a buildable lot, you would have to now pay the connection fee and the privilege
Yeah.
fee. So you
Or
unless
put
you
it-
got a bill for a betterment, did you get a bill for a betterment? Probably not.
No. Say that again?
Well, see, when the project was done in '08, we went through every lot that was potentially bettered by that sewer passing by.
Okay.
And we determined, does that lot get one betterment, two betterments, no betterments? If it's not buildable, no betterments, because you can't build on it, so how can you charge somebody for
Okay.
bettering it if it's not buildable, right?
All right.
So that law, at that time, it sounds like, and I've learned that nothing is final till we go away and check all these facts, because I've put my
I
foot in my
agree.
mouth before recently. But that was not a bettered lot. So there was no betterment outstanding on that lot.
Okay.
But if someone comes in on that lot or any lot like that, that was for some reason not bettered or was bettered with one lot and became two,
So now it's
then
a
they come in
privilege.
and it's a privilege fee
I see.
for them to connect.
Okay,
But if
I'm
they never
guilty of not
connect-
knowing the,
If they never come in to request to connect, they don't have to
Okay.
pay any fees.
so the connection fee would be,
Unfortunately, the privilege fee is equal to the betterment. Normally, there is,
22.
it's up to the betterment. It's anywhere from 0 up to the betterment. So there can be some discretion. We've never varied from the 100%, but, that's
okay,
not the rule. The rule is that we're allowed to charge a privilege fee up to and equal to the last betterment, and there's only one betterment in this town, so that's the betterment.
okay.
So that's the normal.
I'm
But
learning as
again-
we go.
But again, what triggers it is someone wanting to connect to the sewer with that lot.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I guess in a nutshell, Mr. Meiser, if you are going to sell the lot, you can sell it as a buildable lot.
Right.
That the new owners can connect to the town sewer. If you're going to build a house and you want to connect, then you would pay the privilege fee at that time. The question I got is, Mr. Chair, would that privilege fee be paid in full, or would it be assessed over a few-year period?
They can be, what do
Over
you call
10
them?
year apportionment.
Can go
So
over, portion it over 10
You
years.
can take that and pay it over 10 years.
All right, I was under the impression that it was the betterment and the... it
But
was
when
a-
you sell the house,
Yeah,
that's where it would all be balanced out, so that would be part of the closing deal.
Okay.
As far as
But-
paying off the,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the conditions of the sale. I
Yeah.
mean, you can sell the
I
house.
think I think you see why I'm here. When we thought it was a betterment, and no, the town absorbed it.
but if you have a
So-
check for $10,000, we'll take it.
Yeah. So I don't know if we've confused you, but again,
So
you,
it-
as far as I can tell, if you're free to sell the house without
Yes.
paying anything.
Well, it's a unbuilt, excuse me,
I mean,
it's a
the lot,
vacant
I'm
lot
sorry.
at the
You're
time.
free to sell the
right
lot.
now. Okay,
And the next owner would have to deal with whatever they want to do.
right. Well, under the P&S currently, because naive me said, no, the betterment's already taken care of.
Well, it is,
So if,
in essence. There is no
And there
benefit.
was no,
Yeah.
right, but
Take care of
it
it.
was already,
yeah, that
You
wasn't
didn't
the,
misspeak.
right.
yeah, but that wasn't the intent of what you
No,
said.
the intent was that we're gonna be out about 11,000 roughly
Yeah.
in the connection.
Yeah,
Well, I hope you feel better now.
No, no.
just went from the left pocket to the right.
Okay, so there will be a fee of, all right,
That someone, again, someone would have to pay, either it moves to the next owner, or if you've agreed that you will provide that lot with
it's coming off the P and
with
S
sewer,
price, yeah.
no future costs, then comes off of,
Or you could pay it out over a 10-year period.
right?
Well, he wouldn't, the person buying the lot.
Well, it depends on
Right.
what you want you to do with the property, so. So you wouldn't have to write a check for the full amount today. So you can work it in, if you talk to your retail, real estate agent, or,
Yes, okay, so
Yeah.
that'll,
it's just part of the closing deals.
all right. And there's no way to waive the privilege fee under
No.
the circumstances? Okay, I understand.
We haven't as of yet waived the privilege fee.
Okay. But I hope you understand why I'm here and, how this happened, what's transpired.
No, but the hardship on you can be lessened by taking it over 10 years. So if it's $10,000, it's
Right.
$1,000 a year. So
Yeah,
it's not like you have to pay it up in front.
okay.
And also, Mr. Myers, I want to thank you for serving the country and working in Afghanistan. I'm proud
Oh,
of
my
you.
pleasure. I was a DOD contractor for 5 years, and
No, thank you
some
for,
pretty good kids over there.
yeah.
And let me tell you, don't tell them they can't use a baby wipe. And grease and lift stations, you did a lot. So,
I have, before you sit down,
Yes,
though, just
sir.
to make sure we haven't confused the situation or said something that isn't true, I want to make sure I understood what you said, Dave. Because the privilege fee can be apportioned over 10 years, but if the lot changes hands, you
Right.
don't have 10 years to,
Okay.
right.
okay. I knew about the
You
betterment.
can't keep paying
and I
even
knew
though
about the
somebody
con-
else owns it. I don't think
connection
that's
No,
what
it's
it's
got to go to the next owner.
Yes.
It was the privilege that threw me off. Well, thank you very much, Barbara, gentlemen.
You're welcome. We'll keep thinking about this. It hasn't been buried yet, but, if something pops into somebody's head, we certainly would revisit it, because I'm, sensitive to the
Would be
to the
good.
situation.
Be okay with me.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yes, Mr. McDonald.
You all set? Okay,
You good?
Mike?
You good? Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. The next item on the, on the agenda relates to a discussion that's been ongoing now for, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or so, relative to a potential development at 175 Northfield Road. And there's a lot of history that said this is probably the third or fourth meeting that this subject has been addressed. And because it's been dragging out and because it has some pretty important issues beyond just this request on Northfield, I'd like to take a little bit, like a little indulgence to spend a little time with some of the background and some of the important factors that we should consider with any future deliberation. And again, this is a request for a development at 175 Northfield, on the corner of Northfield and Oak Ave. I think Ave, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. First, we were expecting tonight from our last meeting with the representative from Whitman Bingman. We were expecting a formal request and documentation of what was being requested tonight, but we haven't yet received that. We received.
I did talk to Jamie earlier. I've got 2 options.
Yeah, and that is not a formal request. It's 2 drawings and no verbiage, no justification, no,
Okay.
at least 2/3 of what was really important. So anyway, so although we haven't received that request, the issues here are pretty important. And due to the criticality of these issues and the timing, perhaps, because of town meetings and certain things needing to go to town meeting, I would like to continue the discussion tonight, even without that formal request. It's my hope that by doing this, it's the opportunity to clarify, not only for the Sewer Commission's sake, but the public's and the developer, some of the policies we have and how we got here and why we're here. Anyway, so as of now, where we are right now is there is a request that was presented by Whitman Bingman on behalf of the owner, and it has 2 proposals, basically. One is that the sewer service area for the lot at 175 Northfield be changed, specifically to remove a portion of that lot which was intentionally left out of the sewer service area. This is a 12-acre lot on that corner, and there is one wedge of land that abuts Northfield that was intentionally left out of the sewer service area. And one of the 2 proposals is to change the map and include that triangle in the sewer service area. The other request is to extend the sewer line down Northfield, which would provide access on the frontage along Northfield with one of the plans, which again would change the sewer service area. And in this proposal, in the first proposal, there are 7 lots proposed, and if the extension down Northfield were granted, the plan that was submitted several weeks ago showed that 10 lots would be developed. This afternoon, we did receive 2 drawings reflecting these 2 requests in terms of what the sewer service zone would look like, area would look like, but we've yet to receive the formal request and/or justification for why we should entertain this change. Okay. So I'd like to go over some key points, because behind this is some very important principles that the Sewer Commission has been operating by and policies. So first, 175 Northfield is mostly in the current sewer service area, as I mentioned, and it was assessed, in the original assessment, it was assessed for 7 buildable lots. And this was based on review by the engineers at the time, as well as the building inspector, to see how many lots could be developed on that piece of property within the sewer service zone as it currently is. So they were assessed for 7 lots. There is at least a conceptual layout in the building inspector's mind that is consistent with the current zoning laws that would keep all of the other requirements in place regarding not crossing the sewer service lines. So the lot was deemed to be buildable, was bettered for 7 lots, and 7 lots can be built on it without any changes to the sewer service area. Okay. The only difference being that the proposal that the applicant has submitted has a layout that doesn't allow that. So they've chosen a layout of lots, at least so far, that requires a change to the sewer service zone. The second important factor is in the CWMP, which is a comprehensive wastewater plan, which the town funded, maybe back in 2006 or 7, and spent several $100,000 looking at the entire town, and based on needs, trying to identify where in town sewer service was needed because of conditions, soil conditions, or other factors, and there was a lot of factors taken into account. It's a very comprehensive plan, and it's been our Bible, so to speak, and our rule book for all of the decisions to date, and we have yet to violate any of the basic principles of that, and I sincerely hope we don't here either. So in this comprehensive wastewater plan, the town was basically broken up, except for the areas that were already sewered at that time. The rest of the town was broken up into 24 areas, or 24 areas. And each area was analyzed in detail for many factors in terms of its level of need. Of those 24 areas, the area that we are talking about here, basically Northfield and to the east of Northfield, came out and scored 23rd out of 24th. So it was next to last in the ranking of need. So it, as you see, it was seen as not as an area of need at all by quite a long shot. Specifically, that comprehensive wastewater plan, the CWMP, concluded in its final report that conventional Title V systems appear to be a viable long-term wastewater disposal solution for this study area. It further stated that during the visual analysis, it was noted that there are some wetlands, but the lots in the area are large enough to accommodate conventional Title V septic systems. This results in the recommendation to not include this area in the service zone, more specifically to not put sewer down Northfield, because that is the area that would open up 13, the study area 13. So the CWMP was very clear and had good basis for not sewering Northfield. Third, in the Phase 4 report and the recommendations of the CWMP, also, it's important for a history point of view for people to understand that in there it was stated clearly, and I quote, a goal of the recommended wastewater management plan is to manage wastewater issues with existing development and existing environmental concerns, while at the same time not serving to promote unmanaged sprawl of unchecked development, parentheses, secondary growth. So that was one of the guiding principles that the town gave the comprehensive wastewater engineers in their analysis. The second factor that comes in play, and we need to keep a clear eye on, is that the Sewer Commission has established quite some time ago, in the same time frame, a development policy, a specific policy on development. In this policy, which really is the guiding principle of the CWMP, it's particularly relevant, to consider here in this development is a good example of this. That policy, I'll read to you here, the Sewer Commission Development Policy. It's very short. A guiding principle of the Sewer Commission is to determine the most effective method of providing service to existing and new developments where alternate on-site solutions are not able to meet local and state health and environmental requirements. It is not the intention or goal of the Commission to control or enable development. Okay, so that's the other basic principle in any discussions relative to this request that the Commission needs to consider. Again, the CWMP and this Commission, directly relates need, the word need, to the degree to which alternate on-site solutions are not able to meet local and state health environmental needs. So the first principle is if on-site systems can support the desired use, then that is the preferred, and that is not a commission. That the town was quite clear on that, when we started all these efforts, and in that regard, we are protecting the town's interest. So based on all that, regarding this request, should it come, I see there's three options. The first one is that that we would deny the request. This lot is developable. 7 lots, 7 house lots can be put on this lot with no changes to the sewer service area. So it meets any kind of business goals, I would think, that 7 lots would achieve without us violating any of the principles I just talked about. Even early in this process, the developer did supply a plan which had 7 lots on it, and with 2 of the lots being served by septic. So acknowledging that this lot really could be supported by septic. Secondly, we could vote to modify the sewer service area within the subject lot, but not allow an extension. That's an option that we could have. This would require, though, again, due to these principles, this would require the applicant to prove, to provide additional and compelling evidence of the need as defined by the policy. Need as in on-site would not support on-site septic. As I just said, that's probably unlikely since they've already made a proposal which included two of the lots being on septic. Even with that, this would again, violate our development policy and really create dangerous precedences for other large developable areas throughout town. This concept was used throughout our service area maps. Third, we could support the request for the extension down Northfield. That's an option that, could be taken, and modify the sewer service area accordingly. This would clearly and directly violate the CWMP master plan, and in my opinion, would require some significant discussion, research, data, and likely an updated CWMP, which is all time and money. With all that said, and I'd be happy to elaborate or clarify anything that wasn't real clear there. I think that the current sewer service area and the CWMP need to be, continue to be the guiding template for the commission, and pending other compelling information of a similar detailed nature as the current CWMP, we need to uphold that. At this time, there's been no documentation or evidence of any kind that there is an actual need as defined by our CWMP within the request. Once we receive the formal request, should we and get any justification based on need, we would need to discuss it in light of those facts clearly. Based on all this, I would recommend that this request be denied or tabled at this time, pending any new and compelling demonstration of need, consistent with our development policies. I thank you all here and at home for sitting through this narrative, but this really is an extremely important issue. Okay, and so before I open it up, I'd like to acknowledge that Jamie is here from Whitman Bingham. Thank you. Should we have any questions for him? So I'll open it up for any questions, comments by the commission, and request that any questions for Whitman Bingham be relayed through the chair. So, any comments or questions? Anyone still awake?
Well put.
Mr. Chair, you did a great job on explaining the CWMP, and again, since we've been on the commission, that is our guideline. I would recommend that we deny that request unless they can show need, and need is a very big word here, and it's got to show need. Otherwise, I think it's for us, we do our jobs, and our job is to enforce the CWMP.
Thank you very much, Mr. McDonald. Yes, please.
I just want to...
Just introduce yourself for all those people out there that don't know who you are, Jack.
Jack Roddickins, DPW Director. I just want to make you aware of, and well put, and I understand the theory behind it. I'd just like to offer some fact and in my opinion for what it's worth. The fact of the matter is when we did install sewer there, we left one stub and we charged him for 7 betterments, which, you know, we can go look back into why that was done. I think it was done improperly, but that's the way it was at the time, because the rule of thumb at the time was that if the land was not subdivided or it did not have a filed subdivision at the time the sewer went through or the signing of the contract, either or, then it received one stub and was considered one lot. The town, however, decided, and I wasn't involved in the process, so I can't speak to that very well, that there was a potential for X amount of lots, and therefore they were charged the betterments. I just, I want you to be aware that whatever happens over there, if it's in excess of one lot, then we, the sewer division, sewer commission, are going to have to tie into that sewer line in 6 different places. I don't know what the ground is over there, particularly in those 6 different places, but it will probably cost us somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000 per lateral. And it will, it probably won't do a very good, it'll be a patchwork on top of the pavement because the pavement was done on these roads after. So I'm just, my opinion on it, for what it's worth, would be to be somewhat flexible with the contractor or the developer and perhaps make some sort of an agreement. Right now, I don't know where we would look to that, for that. What's the quick math on that? $20,000 to $30,000 to do that work. And it might be somewhere where you all may have some flexibility to do that. I don't stand here to fly in the face of the comprehensive wastewater management plan or yours, but I do see some advantage of having the developer involved in it, and if he were to, maybe pick up some of that, or all of that, in order to get that one extra lot, or some sort of a compromise.
Yeah, okay.
And
I
we-
think I understand. It wasn't clear where you're going. I appreciate your reminding us, as you did before, that, that we are on the hook for 6 additional stubs.
We
just
are.
because we've charged them for that.
We are.
It depends on how they develop it.
Yeah.
I would say how many stubs and where they are.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that relates at all to enforcing our policy of the CWMP. And I would take this opportunity public to say that just as we would not accept a commercial, and then speaking for myself and the commission, we would not accept a financial justification as need for a sewer. I would not in any way support any kind of quid pro quo that would financially offset the commission's costs if it required violating our basic principles. So if I understood you right, I'm not quite sure what you mean by working with the developer to offset our potential liability.
Well,
of $20,000.
it's well said. We violate our principles. I think principles are important. I think it's also important that we provide service to people. I know we've looked at things and we looked at them inside the sewer district, service needs. So it's a little bit different. This gives us the option to get more customers, perhaps. Looking at that, it may also get us off the hook for doing the connections and the pavement that comes afterwards.
Okay, I appreciate it, and
That's,
for the
as I
commission's
said,
consideration.
my comment, my opinion on that.
Yeah, and I'd just like to make clear, my opinion is that we're not going to change a sewer service area just to cover the liability that we've incurred with those missing connections. Any other comments by the board, or questions, or clarifications, or?
Have we let other areas expand?
We have only once to date modified the service area to expand the service area, And that was based on demanding and receiving not only proof that it could not be serviced by on-site, but by letters from boards of health and
Where
people
was
that you
that?
could not put
Where's
septic.
that at, Mr. Chair?
That was at the Whalum Drive-In location.
All right.
I don't know.
57 Electric.
Thank you. Yeah, that was basically the big wetlands, and we personally went and witnessed the digging of holes and the fact that that was wet, and the boards of health also acknowledged that it was not possible to
What's the
serve.
harm in coming up Northfield with the sewer line?
It's
that
dead
point?
set against the CWMP. It opens up that whole area 13, which does not have a need. It's able to be supported by on-site systems. And that is a fundamental, and that's why I want to make it clear, because the commissioners are new and this has been going on for a long time. The first alternate, for the town's sake, town, environment, all kinds of good reasons, is if on-site will support the property, then that is the first option. And sewer is an option only after it's proven that it cannot support on-site. Unless, of course, it's within the 12 areas of need that were defined. Those areas have now been blessed, saying these are areas of needs, and that's where we're looking to expand. And Sunset Ave is hopefully the first one, since the CWMP is complete, that we do of significant size. The Lancaster Ave was actually the first one, but fairly small.
Well, I guess I'm not sure I see a problem with letting them go up Northfield to that one point
I understand.
and restricting it strictly to what's there, and that's it.
That's not really possible, though. Once you go up Northfield, you cannot go down. One of the proposals that the sketch was sent today said, put this service area down the middle of the street. Once sewer is in the street, anyone along the street has the right to connect. And along that street are some very large parcels, 20 acres, right across the street, which was the second half, the second shoe of this particular request, to be
They're
opened up.
not developing across the street. They already said they weren't.
Today. That doesn't mean they can't develop tomorrow.
How many times have you seen
Right,
things
people
change?
change their
Butch?
minds. Right.
Yeah.
And if you allow
Well, it's
this,
professionals.
sewer would also take away from the groundwater replenishment,
Right, yeah.
which is a very, very big concern.
In fairness to you, Butch, I would encourage you to take a look at the CWMP so that you feel, better about at least why it's come to the conclusions and why we are where we are. And everything's open for discussion, and then, as you say, things change. At some point, that CWMP will probably have to be refreshed, because things do change. But right now, it's what we've got to keep the ship, on course. Okay. So is there a motion, or should we table this pending any?
I think it needs more discussion and more research.
Okay.
I think we might want to let
Yeah.
Jamie talk.
Yes, James, introduce yourself.
I was Jamie Rowe from Whitman Bingham Associates, representing the applicant here. Wasn't sure the protocol, that's why I sat back and
Yes, yeah, no, there was no plan to have you talk tonight.
just trying to respect the process.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I appreciate the history because I have not been involved in exactly what you explained, so I do appreciate that very
good.
much. At the last meeting, I left with an understanding that there was an error made, and the error was admitted, and we were moving forward with a very defined process, and we were going to submit a letter stating our options and a couple option plans. After I left the meeting, I went on vacation. And obviously, I can check my email with my phone, and I got an email from Barbara, thank you, Barbara, very much, to inform me that the commission was retracting their statement. And that's fine, I'm glad I knew. But I was confused, and because of that confusion, and because I was away, I had no way to react. That's why you didn't get a letter. You didn't get a letter because I didn't want to submit it. I wanted to, but I had to hold back and have the discussion with you and an explanation of what happened between when I left and today. And I still haven't gotten that, so I would respectfully ask for that explanation of what happened between when I left the meeting and today, to have you retract the statement that an error was made on the plan. And we can talk about that in a minute. But, so I'd like that, number one. Number two, the plans that we submitted to you, again, we had many conversations about the 7-lot scheme and the 10-lot scheme, and an explanation on why we submitted them. We didn't submit them with the intention of having any of the lots be septic systems. We submitted the lot schemes to let you know how many lots we could get with sewer if we had frontage on Oak Ave, or if we had frontage on Oak Ave and Northfield with sewer as well. That's all. We assumed they were going to be sewer. When I submitted the 7-lot plan, we showed you the triangle piece that was on the map, the sewer map, service map. And according to your bylaws, you really can't cross in and out of it. And quite frankly, you can't cross a property line with a sewer. So you can't get 7 lots the way it's laid out now. You just can't do it. So I'll go back to the drawing board and take a peek at that and see if I can creatively create some very odd-shaped lots to get 7 lots. But if there's a sketch in your research that you did over the years, when you assess this for 7 lots, I'd love to see it. And if it's in Mike Savageau's office, I'll go see Mike. If it's in your records, maybe I can come down and take a peek at them. I'd love to see that myself so I can understand a little bit how you did it based upon the zoning code. And maybe, I don't know when this was enacted, but maybe it met 7 lots then, and it doesn't meet 7 lots now because the zoning changed. I don't know. So I can certainly take a look at that.
Okay.
This has been a cooperative effort. I'm not here adversarially, representing my client with this commission. We went through this process once. I want to go through it again with you in 2 phases. One phase would be to solve this triangle piece so that we can get 7 or 10 lots, depending upon what option the board chooses to sewer this property. The way the sewer is today, and we have only frontage on Oak Avenue to deal with, or frontage on Oak in Northfield, and change the service district line so we can put sewer in Northfield just for this property, because this property is in the sewer service, right? So I'm trying to do this with you. After we resolve this property at the corner, we can talk about the property across the street. And we can do that at a later date or at the same time. I did offer up to you, we'll do a deed restriction. We're not looking to develop the property across the street. We'll put a deed restriction on the property or limit the service line so that you can't sewer anything beyond the houses. That's not what we're trying to do. Pretty transparent, pretty honest about it, and I don't know how much more honest I can be about that. So I can submit plans and documents, and we can do that dance all day long, but that's our intention, and we wouldn't go forward with any other intention than deed restriction or limit the development on the properties across the street. There's one house that has a failed Title V, and there's a barn on a separate lot that we want to put a house on. That's all. Other than that, that's my intentions. So I wanted to respect for the process. I didn't know if I was on the agenda or not to talk, but hearing the discussion, I just wanted to clarify a few points. And
Good, thank you.
And then move forward.
We'll address what you said. First of all, you asked for the what happened after the last meeting. Is we continued investigation into why that was zoned, or why that sewer service area was drawn the way it was, and continued to talk to people and look at the CWMP. And realize that all of the reasons I said tonight are exactly why that was intentionally done the way it was. Independent of whether it was old existing sewer area or new area, that didn't make a difference. And that's where I ran amok and where I made the mistake. I thought because it was the existing sewer area and not a new study zone, technically, that it would all be included. But that was not the case, because that same principle was applied throughout the town in the existing sewer services. So there was no mistake made. And we got back to you as quickly as we could because we knew you were off there, having been misled, so to speak.
I'm misled.
and set
Honest mistake.
set
I
that straight.
respect that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. There's a lot of history here that I'm not involved in, so I respect that.
Now, the other thing you said, though, that I do directly disagree with what you said, because at the meeting that you submitted the 7-lot layout that crossed the line, you specifically mentioned that those 2 lots would be serviced by sewer,
Sewer.
by septic.
No, I did not, and if I did, I misspoke, or you misunderstood me.
So
I can
maybe
appreciate
we're
that.
even then.
We can agree to disagree, but yep, I didn't intend that at all.
Regarding the 7 lots, again, we rechecked last week, and you are welcome, I know you have to say this, anybody's welcome to talk to the building inspector, but he reconfirmed last week
Yep.
that lot, given current building codes, given the current sewer service area map,
Yep.
can support 7 separate lots. So I would encourage you to go closed loop with him, and because that, you know, if you're happy with the 7 lots and he can show you how to do it, then great. We can end that discussion and move on to the next shoe, which is Northfield.
Correct.
And
So I have-
and Northfield is a very big nut,
Yep.
as you can tell from
Yep.
from what we said. And it's not just your property or your own your client's property with deed restrictions. It opens up lots of property and just opens up a whole can of worms. That again, it was the last ranked in terms of need in the town, and that's what drives the sewer. So that is why it was and why it will continue, certainly as long as I have a breath, to be driven solely by need. And in fairness, in this entire discussion, and since our first day meeting and back on the lot on the property that we talked about earlier, changing the service zone that you were involved in, I have yet to be given any justification of need on your proposal, and that's what I'm missing. You know, the drawings are nice, but there's no justification of need, and that's what this commission is going to decide on.
So with respect to the 7-lot layout, I'm going to go see Mike Savage. I have a meeting with him Thursday morning on another project, so I will talk to him about that.
Good.
And then if you would be so kind to put me on the agenda for the next meeting so we can talk about that. I suspect I'm going to get an answer from Mike Savageau that according to the frontage, you can get 7 lots. But when you lay out the lots, you're going to violate your bylaws. So I will have that discussion, go through that analysis, have Mike touch base with Barbara via email so that you can hear it independently, and then we can come back and have another discussion about those 7 lots.
Okay.
Hopefully that gives us enough time that if I am correct, and Mike Savageau backs it up, we can have that discussion about option 1 or option 2 with respect to changing the district line and get on the warrant for the next town meeting.
Right, yeah.
And then we can talk about the property across the street. I fully expect to do exactly what we did with the drive-in, with the property across the street. I understand that, I get that. Just can't do it now.
Yeah.
Frost on the ground, there's snow and ledge.
Yeah.
It's not the optimal time to do it, and we will do that, and we will come back, and if it's the next town meeting, so be it. But keep in mind, we're not trying to develop it.
Yeah, and keep in mind that
Yep, and I
we're going to have to
respect-
prove that, especially now you say that you're really only interested in one house.
One house on each lot,
On
yes.
each lot.
Yep.
And so how many, the one house is on a 20-acre lot then?
Yes.
So you're going to have to prove that on that 20-acre lot,
Yep.
there isn't room for one septic system that would support that house.
And I'm going to do it. Now, I don't know what the testing is going to prove out, but I'm going to go through the exercise, just like we did with the Whalen Drive-In,
Not for us.
and give the data to you, and you can be out there when we test, and we'll do the same thing as we did on the Drive-In, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
And we'll do the right thing. That's not a problem, but keep in mind, we're still telling you, do the deed restriction, or limit even then, that's all we're looking for.
It's not the lot, it's putting
I
it's
appreciate
putting the
that.
pipe down Northville.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
I appreciate what Jamie's saying, and again, Jamie has experience with this board and this commission, and you showed need before, and again, if you can show it again, I don't see a problem with that. So if you're that confident on 20 acres,
Yep.
go for it.
Yep, we will.
Good.
And I'll make an appointment with Mr. Savageau, and I'll come back at the next meeting. We'll talk about those 7 lots. Is
Very
that fair?
Good,
Yep.
fair.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Chair.
Can I just bring up
Oh,
just the one point, maybe it goes unsaid, but if Jamie is right as far as the 7 lots go, that we can't get 7 lots without, falling into that area, where they've paid the betterments, does that show a case of hardship in this case? Or,
Well, it shows they paid for something we can't give them.
so does that, would that
Yeah, I,
give us the right to consider changing that? I mean, not
I
going
don't know that-
Northfield Road, but consider changing that area, is what I'm getting at, because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
shown us a hardship, is what
Well,
I guess I'm saying.
Maybe we cross that bridge
hardship
next
is,
meeting.
hardships maybe.
Yeah,
is-
Let's see if it happens, right?
See what the analysis is, and then
All right.
we'll discuss that at the next.
So I would, but I would encourage you though, just again, so it isn't just, like you say, go on forever with one, you
Yep.
bring us this and then we show you that. Even my simple looking at your 7-lot layout,
Yep.
with 2 minor tweaks, you could put 6 in the sewer area.
Yep.
There's no question of
The
that.
exercise
Right,
is
you cut
7.
one corner and move a little piece here or
Yep.
there, you get 6.
But the exercise is 7, because we paid for 7. so-
Yes, yeah, but a possible outcome could be that we did made a mistake, overestimated, and you only have to pay for 6, and we have to find a way to make you whole.
Yep.
I mean, that is a possible outcome.
Yep, and then we can talk about that
right.
next meeting. That's fine. Yep.
And just when you're talking to Mike and doing your relayouts, again, try to take a couple of steps at a time and not just drag this thing out forever.
No, let's get it done at the next meeting.
It is, you could envision a case where we move the line, perhaps, but not all the way to the property edge, very much like we did
Sure,
in Whalen.
sure.
That we move it over just enough to squeeze that second lot's pipe by, but it does not go and touch Northfield.
That would be option 3. There we go. Yep, absolutely, sure.
You might get that ring eventually.
What's that?
You might get that brass ring pretty soon.
I'll see you
Thank you,
guys
Jay.
at the next meeting. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Have a good night.
You gonna withdraw your motion?
That was my motion, that was my opinion. That was-
You made a motion, you didn't make an opinion.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
I thought I went by the agenda.
I think I have a motion out there to deny going down Northfield Road.
Yeah, I wasn't clear it was a motion, I didn't hear a second.
It wasn't seconded.
So are you,
I'll withdraw the
Withdraw the motion.
But my opinion, I thought it was more of an opinion, but I still don't want to see it go. We still got to follow the plan.
I'll second your withdrawal.
all in favor of the withdrawal? Where'd my thing go? My agenda? Oh, get over here.
Gonna get back on the agenda, Mr. Chair?
Yes, and Barb instructed me that she left me,
Skip
I
Jack.
skipped Jack.
I thought you did it intentionally.
But that was good, because otherwise Jack might have missed the other thing. Sorry about that, Jack.
You look all
Okay.
broke up about it.
Gonna fall asleep.
Okay, so Jack Roddickman's DPW director has joined us tonight to update us on 4 items that are on our plate right now. So Jack, I don't, if you want to come just give an update, and then you'll be done.
What am I down?
Lancaster Ave, the SRF funding, generator maintenance proposal, and I&I reduction project.
Okay, Lancaster Ave. Specifically,
Got to get to Jay. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go.
No, go ahead.
Please.
are we good?
Very, very good.
You didn't miss much. Lancaster Ave, the manhole on Lancaster and Whiting, familiar to all. The update on that is that we've inspected it each week, save 1 or 2 days where for snowstorms and whatever. But the most recent inspection showed that it's not dry. There's infiltration into the manhole, in 2 different places. The contractor did a very good job in slowing the original flow down, was brought to his attention. Nevertheless, in something like this, any flow is unacceptable. So I sent off a message to the contractor, and with the advice of you, Mr. Chairman, in a previous meeting, and we set dates. Dates are contingent upon the weather, of course, and we did mention that. that we're looking for a plan, not only a plan, but an initiation of work by, was it March 16th? And again, weather notwithstanding, and that we want to see completed. Completed means it would be completely dry by the end of March. So that went off. I haven't heard from you. That went off just recently. So I expect, well, based on his last action there, that they understand the situation. They've had some success, but that's where we are right now. In terms of connections, was that 1A, Carl, on that? In terms of connections, I wasn't at the meeting, but I believe this commission left at least a recommendation up to me. There doesn't seem to be at this particular time any but one that is comes close to a public safety situation in terms of overflow of the system. We do have a couple down there that's in dire need, and I believe we'll move forward with that connection if and when the winter ends and we're able to dig into the ground. That connection will not be detrimental to the rehab of the manhole. The pressure main runs particularly slow, and the length of this main, which is over 900 feet, and with only one or two people tied into it, is not going to be a detriment to his repairing the manhole. Therefore, it seems like we should serve these people. They operated in good faith, as did everyone on that line, and so we will look to get them connected when it's the appropriate time to do so, regardless of the contractor's work. If not to jump ahead too far, let's hope that we get a plan and activity down there by mid-March, which I'm optimistic we will do, and that we'll be all set by the end of March. If we don't, then we'll get together, put your heads together, and see where you'd like to go from there.
Yeah.
What was the next one, Carl?
Yes, thank you. The SRF funding support, getting support for the town meeting on our
Yeah, it was your
extension?
decision to go with Wright Pierce, the authors of the previously discussed CWMP. It was your choice. Have informed them that we'd like them to do that. It's really, the scope of their work will be minimal. We will want a consultant, a professional, to speak for us being this commission, the residents of Sunset Ave, and the places where we're proposing the sewer to go. We expect, based on his comments, that he being, and his name escapes me, Barb?
Kevin Olson?
Kevin Olson or an agent will be there to do so.
Super.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the order.
Doesn't matter. The generator maintenance, this is a new item, which may be actually new.
Yeah, this is, we had an, let me give you a little background on this. We'd had an incident with that was brought to our attention by Small Water Systems, who, by the way, I'll say again, have done a yeoman's job in terms of not only what their scope of work was, but also keeping us informed of anything and everything that they might see. And one of the things they did notice was that there was a sound or an unusual situation at one of the generators. I think it was at Twin City Baptist. And what we did was we sent staff down there of our own and found that the generator was in fact overdue for maintenance. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with it. It just needed the oil needed to be changed and some lubrication done. But it brought up to our attention in the forefront that what are we going to do with this generator maintenance? It's outside of their contract, and it's something, in fact, I had mentioned to the commission that I thought we could probably do this. Because of the electrical component of the maintenance of the generator, it's clearly, to say the least, more than just changing the oil and, lubricating it. So there's a whole electrical component of which I was not aware, frankly, admittedly. And in speaking with our staff, people who had done it for years, we asked, and with your recommendation, Mr. Chairman, we asked Small Water Systems to give us a proposal for generator maintenance. I have that proposal. You and I went over it, and we're currently discussing that with Small Water Systems because it appears that some elements of that scope of work may already be covered by the original contract. So my most recent email to them and phone call, Debbie hasn't gotten back to me, is that for them to review their contract and perhaps, adjust the proposal. And I also asked that she or the fellow that does it come into the office, not so much at a formal meeting, but come in and we can go over it line for line for line. So until that proposal is complete, we're keeping an eye on the generators, that everything's working fine. And when I have that proposal, it's a solid proposal, I'll bring it before the commission for discussion.
Very good.
Great, thank you, Jack. And then the last one, which is just getting moving, is the INI.
Yeah, and I've got some breaking news on that. Well, Carl and I spoke today, and I know we had all discussed at a meeting or several meetings, but it has been quite a while, about moving forward with what we'll call phase 2 of the INI location, remediation, if you will. And you all remember, it seems like at that point, this was done over 2 years ago, and the proposals came before that. So, frankly, I couldn't remember much of it except for the price, which we all thought was pretty significant. So I asked Steve Peterson of Weston and Sampson to get back to me with a scope of work and and see if there was an adjustment in the price, and he did, but it was a pretty generic. The price was there, but it was pretty not in the detail that I would need to recall it. So Chairman and I decided that we needed more detail, and just at about 4:30, 5 o'clock, I was able to get a hold of his associate, if you remember, Pat Cotton, who was involved in that pretty extensively. And this is what I've learned. Now, I can't answer questions on this, and I'm not entirely comfortable, but let me just pass along what we discussed today. When I say we, the commission, all of us, had talked about that piece of each lateral that comes from the home, particularly in the Whalum area, which, as you recall, was identified as the area where most, if not all, of our I&I comes from, that back in the original installation in 2001, it was the position of the Sewer Commission that as people connected, they were to change that antiquated vitrified clay pipe to PVC in order to relieve the system of any I&I, simply stated. Well, that never happened. In most cases, that never happened. So, and then that never happened into phase 2 as well. Now, some of the connections were quite lengthy, and it was brought to our attention by the former chairman of the Sewer Commission, who's in attendance, that it was 40, 50 feet of this older pipe until it got to the PVC. So it was clear to all of us that this might be someplace where we want to identify as an inspection of the I&I. And with our discussion today, Carl, I brought that up, and it was interesting, his response, which he felt was not to camera those, but rather to propose to inspect the houses for sump pumps, because with all the data, and we'll have to revisit this, it's been so long, but with all the data that they had, it showed that once the water table gets up to a potential leak in the clay, the flows in the pipe will remain constant. And if you recall the year we did that, unlike last year, it was a heavy rains. We had 3 or 4 storms that were excellent for this sort of calculation. And at each storm, we had all those meters, it spiked. If there were infiltration in a clay pipe, is his theory, or his fact, if you will, that the water table would be over the clay pipe or around the clay pipe, and that would be filtering in, but the heavy rains would not cause more to filter in. The water table is going to go up so high and then come into a crack or whatever, and as the water table comes up higher, you're just going to get into that crack. And you know what, I'll have to have him explain it after that, but he said, beyond that, I should say, but he did say that, no, the thing we should be doing is going house to house, because in their experience, the way the meteors spike at the rainstorms is because there's significant inflow into the system.
Mr. Chair, is there a way, are they suggesting going into the house and opening a trap at the end of the house and looking to see if there's clay pipe from there?
No.
So how would you go?
What they're suggesting, and if we were all here, and so I'm glad to recognize that your recollection, at least right now, is as poor as mine was this morning. But a part of the whole project, as you may or may not remember, was to get in touch with the people to make an appointment so that we could get into the basement. Many things are involved here: door-to-door meeting of the people, leaving notes, dedicating a phone line so that people can get back to us. All seems pretty labor-intensive. And then when we do have that appointment, be it day or night, morning, weekend, they have to send 2 people down to reduce the liability.
Exactly.
And just inspect for a sump pump. Now, I can remember my comment being, and I think it was supported by the commission, was that it's not only sump pumps, but a lot of those, in fact, the design of the sewer was to come in under the footing or low in the basement. Mm-hmm. And because most infiltration, if it comes from the home, is what's called bad resident behavior, there's a possibility that people simply take the nut off the sewer. If there's water in the basement, it flows down into the sewer line, and then they put the nut back on. You won't find this in an inspection. And that was mine and our concern at the time. If you do remember, that even with this high fee and getting in there, they only guarantee or suggest a 75 or 85% success rate on this. So these are all things, I think, if we're going to move forward. I also did mention to him that the fee that was $61,000, that we weren't budgeted to do that. He said we could break that up into phases. I wasn't comfortable telling him exactly what your plan was for that, whether it's 50, 50, 30, whatever that. But I suggest if we'd like to move forward, that we bring him in and then revisit the whole scope of work. It's just been too far. It's been too much in the past for me to give you a clear explanation. I think for you to recall or to understand to move forward on something of that enormity in that amount of money without revisiting it detail for detail.
Yeah, Jack, I greatly appreciate that, and you're right, it was so long ago that it's all becoming jumbled, and appreciate your starting to get us back up to speed, and I think you're right, and I think we need to schedule to have him in. I mean, we're going to do something. The money's in the budget, and we got to spend it. We've got to get this I&I down, because that'll kill us with Leominster. So reassure him that this isn't another exercise that 2 years from now we'll be asking for another recall.
Well, I'll go ahead and work with Barbara, make an appointment.
Get him in, yeah.
Or have him make an appointment. We'll have him into a meeting.
Yeah.
If that's good with you.
That would be really helpful.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Fine.
Okay. That was it that I had asked Jack to report on, but Jack, and I promised Jack that he could go back to his family here, but if you could hang in just for the very next one, because
no problem.
It's going to come. I'm back to you at some point here. Is the SCADA system is on next agenda on the line on the item, so maybe Jay could give us an update where you are at the moment, and then how we go forward from here. While we have Jack.
I don't have much to report. I haven't had much time to work, but I have a tentative appointment with Mike from Hall Pump and the technician from First Electric to try and meet them out to Leominster Pump Station on Friday, if everybody can make that appointment, to go over the system so they can explain to me, how it's supposed to work.
All right. Okay,
So, I wish I had more to tell you.
no, that's fine. It's okay, because the last time you had a lot more than I was expecting to tell you, so it kind of averages out to a good thing. But what I would like to say, because, when Jay volunteered to sort of to head up and get this thing moving with, getting us up to the 21st century here with at least a trial test pump station. The scope of work that we had asked Jay to do was really more, was define the requirement and the bid process and get that rolling. Fortunately, now Jay's done enough to know that there is a different route we can take. And I would like to say that it's a good point now that it really should be given back to the operations, because we're now really into the nuts and bolts of getting it done. So, not that I would suggest you stay with it and follow through, but I think, Jack's team and operations really need to take it from here, because the direction sounds reasonably secure with Hall and so forth, but exactly how we implement is what you've been working on. Is this correct?
Yeah, well, I, got price quotes for the equipment, the touchscreen and the controller, and I've been working with, while I was trying to get, First Electric, to get me a price on this stuff. They want to explain that, that we're not just buying the controller, that there's a programming that goes with it, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to explain that to me. And like I said, I suggested that we buy the equipment and get them to install it and program it, and have them give us the price on doing the programming and installation component of it, so that we can get this unit repaired and up and running.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, like I suggested, we take the next station. Then we look at the whole system, all of them, and then decide if we're going to do a bid proposal, or I guess how we're going to do that and where the money's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, and I think that's, again, trying to regroup a little, and, the commission and Jack and everyone has been working together just to get the job done, whoever can help get stuff done. And we've kind of blurred the lines, I think, at least in my mind, of operations and commission and policy setting and so forth. And I think what you just said in terms of, are we going to do all the systems? How are we going to handle it? Are we, bidding process, all that? I think that, is more in our bailiwick than which controller and all of that sort of detail, which is why I think, again, at this time, I think, we should transition, what you've been doing to Jack and his team to implement, unless, Jack, you see it differently.
I don't. No, I don't. We can use all the help we can get, and I appreciate the effort.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the line does get blurred. I think, we do have people we know and trust. We would follow that procedure of buying the equipment anyway. If it's your opinion we're not getting as good a deal, I respect your opinion. We do have people under contract, and I think that, I certainly, as was quite evident today, there's policies of the commission that are steadfast, and that's a very important job that you all do. That's the most important job. What I do is handle the operations through the town manager on the day-to-day, and I do think this comes under the day-to-day operation. So I appreciate any input, but I think at this point it's holding up the process. And we're not required to. It was pretty clear with you on the procurement, where the procurement lies, and we certainly want to pay close attention to that. So
Yes.
we can argue about that, we can discuss that, but at this point, it's day-to-day operations, and the commission has already voted, in fact, not only to support a $6,000
But then,
billing, but voted for almost twice that amount, which baffled me. I wasn't at that meeting, but we go ahead and we do this one. It was the thoughts of the commission to do this one and see how it works out. We would hope to move into the 21st century and do them all, but we have one, and we're going to test it out, and we're going to see how it goes.
Mr.
Good, I
Chair.
appreciate it. Just one second. I feel compelled, so nobody out there gets the wrong impression that the sewer commission is voting twice what it costs to get the job done. The sewer commission voted
No, put
what
more
they thought
money.
was enough to do two systems.
Right. No.
And in the process, it was determined
No.
that, no, you really should do one, and then the next one.
Right, the allocation, not to spend twice as much, I stand corrected if I gave you that
No, you're
impression.
not correct.
But to do more than one in the future.
Right, yeah, along Jay's line. And we really want to do them all, is
Yeah.
the goal.
As money allows, and then to make sure that this will be in the test case,
Right.
see how it goes.
Mr. Chair, if I can, I know exactly what Jay was coming from on that, and the RFP is a great idea. I probably would have sent an RFP out to multiple companies as a total package. Piecemealing is a good idea, and I agree with everybody, it's an operational thing at that point. My concern, and we've talked about this before with Jack and Barbara, is I really like to have some kind of a detail when the transformer blew a leg, and why aren't we calling Unitel about that? Because I think Unitel at the bottom line is responsible for this. And I really want to talk to Unitel. Either you do it as far as operations, but if this leg blew and hurt our equipment, then Unitel's responsible. And I think we should be talking to Unitel, or at least sending them a letter to see where it goes.
Okay, this is, I don't disagree, this is aside from
Well, this
from
is what started the
installation.
whole system to upgrade the
Right,
system.
right,
So it goes back to that. So
Well, why don't I send a message off to John DiNapoli, who's been very
and again,
cooperative.
if you want, I'll be glad to talk to John
Yeah,
too. But
sure.
I think before you send a message to John, we should find out, write up a little report of exactly what happened. The power went out, it blew a leg. Unitel admitted it blew a leg, and this is what happened to our equipment.
Right.
So I think everyone on this commission, as well as you, has gone to a great deal of lengths to get the new company on board, working it. But if someone's at fault, I like to hold them responsible. If they're not at fault, then fine. But that's what did start this whole scooter.
Yeah, because it had happened to us, SCADA, because it had
SCADA,
happened to
sorry.
us previously, before Smallwater was even on board.
Yes, yeah. So,
Okay, point taken.
Okay.
Will do.
Oh, good, okay, thank you, because that's come up a few times. Thank you, Dave, for bringing that up. Okay, I think we're all set, and that's a nice lead, actually, to the next agenda item, because, which is trying to identify some projects and sort of a process that I'd like to propose going forward for how we can keep things, a number of things moving in parallel, projects, and this SCADA system is one of the projects. That's why I think it's a good transition. Because we've got some good work done. And the outsourcing, you mentioned the success with Small Water, and that was sort of at the front end, driven, by commissioners. But Dave and Mike took the lead on sort of driving that. But then operations, we really brought it home and I think that was a good model. And I'd like to propose that we use a similar model for each one of our projects. SCADA is one, grease trap compliance, and I've distributed this list. It would be great to have a commissioner who kind of puts their arms around that and sort of becomes the expert on that, or the champion of that activity. Not necessarily do it, some things will be very heavily on the operations side, but the commission needs to stay closely linked. And somebody on this board should know what's going on, whether it's our activity or operations or Fitchburg's or whoever's, whatever the case may be. And I think it would help with communications and help keep things moving, to sort of just spread that out. And I'd like to, sort of propose that model with the SCADA, that, if Jay would consider sort of being the champion of that system, wherever it takes us, 8 systems, 10 systems, who knows how many pumps we'll have by then, for Jay to sort of be the commission's champion for that, work with Jack, as these issues come up, whether it be policy, operations, or whatever, maintain that overview, be the person who can keep the commission up to speed, so that, if Jack's not available, there's someone who knows what's going on, they can report to the commission, and the commission can get whatever they need on that subject. And then, and also to bring out new ideas in that area to the commission of, expanded projects or kill the project, whatever the case may be. What's the commission's feeling on on sort of trying to, run our group like that of project-based.
You have a lot of stuff here.
Well, that's the problem. I was starting to get, nervous, and there's a lot of things to be done, and there's some timely things, and no one person can do this whole list, and if we just each try to keep our finger in every one, they'll all move, like snails. So the list, for the people out there who can't see the list, the activities I threw out, and there's probably more, or some could be combined, but grease trap compliance is a real, problem. We're trying to get this whole policy going. We've had good success with the businesses of now understanding that there is they've generally, all but one now is paid for their permit, but we haven't got any reports. So there's more work to do to educate and work with the people. So, and even understanding regulation. And I'm sure that there's some things in the regulation that need to be tweaked as we learn. So somebody would take, wrap their arms around grease trap and be sort of the grease trap champion. The other one is flow rate and metering. We now have this agreement with Fitchburg, and our financial situation is very dependent upon those meters working correctly, and for us to see very quickly, before Fitchburg or anyone, if there's something not looking right. I know in the last review, Mike looked at the numbers and said, these numbers, there's something wrong with these numbers. So somebody who really just sort of, feels that responsibility and works with Barb, works with flow assessment, works with whoever to stay on top of that flow rate metering. We have a very specific and hopefully not too long-term issue with identifying a capacity fee policy. We now have, the good news is we have a new IMA with Fitchburg. We've secured additional capacity, which we needed and did not have a guarantee of. The result of that, though, is now we need to figure out how to recover those costs for securing capacity. We have within our regulations the ability to do it, but we don't really have a policy of how to do it fairly. So somebody's got to, it sounds a lot simpler than I think it's going to be to really come up with that policy and work it through with the commission. I&I reduction, the subject we just had, to really be sort of the champion of that I&I reduction. We've got a betterment coming up, I hope, that gets passed at town meeting for Sunset Ave. And there's going to be a lot of work there. And a lot of communication that's going to be required. So that would be that's sort of the fifth one on this list. We still have to have our lessons learned on private extension lessons learned from Lancaster, and then that needs to become a policy and put down in writing. Whatever we learn has to get into a policy. So someone to drive that. SCADA we talked about. And then the last one, which is near and dear to Barb's heart, and I know Jack's on the operations side, is business systems and process. We need to look and find some ways to improve our business systems and, streamline the workload that Barb has so that she can spend more time thinking than stuffing envelopes and things that need to be done, but there's got to be a better way. Our billing process, all these business processes where, we have a very valuable member of our team here that is, needs some help so she can help us more. So those are the 8 things that I'd thrown out. I think between, over the next meeting, maybe if you guys could think about those and any additional ones and which ones might fit, your interests, desires to get more involved in and hopefully volunteer to do some. And
I got the flow meters, called it.
all right. See that? First come, first serve. All right. I'm not hearing much pushback on that one.
Which one you got?
Flow meters. Fascinates me.
I'll take Sunset Ave if you want.
Oh, that's a big one.
Well,
Appreciate that.
then I won't take that one. I'll take.
Yeah. No, you're a good man for it.
Butch, you get sub
Well-organized
pumps.
I
Construction.
got nothing. Got enough on my plate now.
Joe, Butch, you get what's left if you're not careful.
What?
That's the rule. Whoever doesn't have anything gets what's left.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what school you went to, but the one I went to told me to do what I want to do, when I want.
Well, we need help, though, all serious, no kidding aside. We need everybody to
I'm not
pitch in.
kidding, I'm serious.
Grease trap should be all of us, kind of. We're almost done with that. No. I mean,
I was trying to see if there was a, sort of a joke there. Or,
no, a grease trap is,
well, what we've got is everybody now acknowledges and and will very soon will have paid the yearly fee, but there isn't one report been submitted. So there's still either confusion, or a piece of me says that maybe our requirement is too much, is not reasonable, right? So it's not just, in my mind, it's not just go, beat everyone into submission. It's find out what really is the right thing to do, what's really needed to achieve the results, which is no grease in our system, and work with the people and the policy to make the things work.
That might take to me, it sounds like they're getting the idea of paying the fee, but they're not understanding the report, so it just might take a revisit, just to maybe, I don't know, find some simple way to present it, like,
Right.
this is what we're looking for in your situation.
Yeah, I don't think, that one, should take a long time, and maybe that's what you meant, Dave. We've got a good first step, and I think that next step with the reports,
well, now it's follow-up, and
and
that's something that, well, we've been visiting people.
get some
so-
people can work with,
Yeah.
but, hopefully that's well, things go slow, but, a month's task and not years,
Why don't you just take the grease traps? too?
like the betterment.
Oh, no. I went to the same school you went to.
So, again, I don't want to force anyone, if we could think about these, and maybe that at our next meeting, we can identify a few more. And I'm only being silent because I'll pick up whatever we can't find somebody, but, okay? So, great, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you might as well,
The problem, I was looking at the old
Carl.
agenda.
Town.
you might as well, you can put me down for grease trap, because we did all the policies on it anyways. We did all the research on it. I have all that stuff in my office. The grease trap policy.
I'll help out with that one. I
Yeah.
think that one's a good cost, too, so.
Yeah, how about Mike and me?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, personally, just to maybe fill a couple more, I would, I'd like to look after this capacity fee policy. It's a little, it's a little sticky in that,
I think you'd be good on the business systems too. My opinion.
yeah, I certainly can work with Barb on that.
Dave
almost
volunteered
done
Carl.
here.
Yeah, they volunteered, Carl.
Oh, I didn't know we could do that. Yeah, that's good. So actually, there's only one left on this list. And that's the INI. I'll take that. Oh, no, privately funded. You'll take that one. You've got that one, Jack. You've got these all, Jack.
But I will
That's
put your
bad
name
news
in
for
there.
you.
though.
That's probably the toughest one on the list.
That's probably,
Give it to our liaison over here.
Pretty important.
Besides that, he's an attorney.
What else is that?
There's two left, INI and privately funded extensions, which again is, that one should be pretty quick. We may not need a champion for that. We maybe just have to drive that session.
Are we still doing a workshop on that?
Yes, yeah. But we need to talk about that,
Maybe
how
that should be
to
approved.
structure that, and, because I want it to be, make sure it's productive and not just a,
maybe that should be a
Complaint
group thing.
session.
That should be all of us, the whole commission,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. So I don't know that, it was more in my mind something we got to do.
Right, and
So
I
let's
have
think
notes
about
to
the
follow
INI,
up.
because that's huge. But let's have that next meeting with INI and see what the scope is, and maybe somebody will get so excited about it, they'll raise their hand. All right. Great, thank you all very much. Where is the real agenda now?
Town. What's that one? You had a color here.
Oh, here it
That
is,
one.
here it is. I'll end up with 3, I'm sure, by the time that's over. I should just look at my machine.
Town caucus.
Town caucus,
We
big,
need
the
to know
question
how
of the
Jay's
moment.
feeling.
Hate to put you on the spot on TV, Jay, but your term is up, or are you,
No, I wasn't planning on re-upping.
you weren't, but now what are you?
No, I'm still not planning.
Still not planning. Uh-oh. So, that's disappointing,
Yeah.
for sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's right after you volunteered for this thing.
I know. Well, I'll stay with that till,
I know, you'll finish that. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm genuinely sorry to hear that. We're gonna have to,
I'm gonna miss you.
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
your
it's been a good,
experience
it's
and.
been a
it's
good
been valuable.
experience.
Okay, well, so we have a new project. Find a new
Everyone thinks it's a good time.
a new member, so anyone out there, Jay can change his mind at any moment, but anyone who might be interested in joining us for this, all this fun we have up here,
Can't use this like that.
please fill out a what do we call them?
Talent bank
Talent
form.
bank, thank you, doesn't roll off the tongue. Fill out a talent bank, and we would love to have you. As you can see, we've got lots of things to do, and it's a good group to work with too. So please consider it, and Jay, please reconsider. Okay.
The draft of the annual report was sent out.
Actually, I'm sorry, you said talent bank. They really should,
Oh,
the
actually,
caucus,
select-
right? Because that was what the whole purpose of the agenda item was, the caucus.
Well, that's right. it's elected
So
position.
it's an elected position,
I know.
so the
Why don't we
caucus
just
is
go to the
caucus?
on March 17th.
Go, screw them up that way, huh?
Don't know what
Well,
time.
still fill out a talent bank form.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be in the paper.
It'll be posted, but it's March
Go to
17th.
the caucus.
And please feel free to, contact any of the commissioners here if you have any questions or any interest and want to be convinced. Okay. Annual report, Barb sent out a draft, which probably not too many people had a chance to look at since it was
Right.
just today. And then I went and did a whole bunch of changes, which you haven't seen at all, so.
All right, well, just in case people hadn't gotten it.
And when is this
For the town
due?
report.
Yes, for the town
It is-
report, that'll
it
be,
is requested to be in tomorrow, however,
Hmm.
we usually push that date out a little bit.
Yeah.
But as long as we're working on it and have it imminent,
this gets published with the town report, is
the
that?
town report, which doesn't even come out for
Right, okay.
a while.
So we shouldn't,
It is for calendar year
shouldn't
2013.
linger, yes, for last
Carol,
year.
is this the original, or?
This is the one that
you've
I
changed?
believe, has my modifications?
No, I never got
Oh,
yours.
geez.
Okay.
No, so,
All right, all right,
let
okay,
me,
I read the original, yes.
This was the
Okay.
one I
Yeah,
sent
right.
out
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
sorry,
earlier.
because mine was even later than Barb's. So let me, Barb has mine, can you distribute that tomorrow
Yep.
to everybody to take a look at?
Yep.
It's not substantively different, I mean, Barb did a real nice job of,
Yep.
collecting all the key events, it's just a little wording kind of things and a couple little inserts, so.
I particularly like the balanced budget part of it.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That was a good idea.
Okay. Annual report.
The IMA.
Fitchburg IMA. We had at the last meeting, there was some questions from Fitchburg regarding the last bill we sent them, some questions on that, more technical sort of nature, and also a question on where did the adder go in our bill. Barb and I met with Joe Jordan last Friday, I guess, Friday morning. Had a very good meeting. And pretty much cleared the air regarding the adder. There was some confusion, is that I had alerted the board that we should stand by and that there may be maybe another go-around on that. But Joe agreed with the concept and now really fully understands what the intent was. And the intent was that the adder, which was $1.65, a very significant part of the bill from Fitchburg, would now be cost-based as opposed just a blank adder. Long story short, the agreement with Joe that he has to still get blessed by the chair of the sewer commission, but he was also Rick Healy, who was involved in the discussions. I'm pretty sure we'll read the paragraph correctly. That will have a 1-month transition. So the January billing, which is the one we just sent, will still have the $1.65 adder. It would have been a real problem for him at that late date to remove that. But that as long as it's okay with the chair, that future bills will not have an adder unless there is identifiable cost, primarily with billing. But the billing has become so simple now with the meter that Joe thinks there'll probably be no adder at all. So right now, the tentative agreement is there'll be no adder effective February on. So that's very good. And again, it was a very good discussion, and Joe, continues to be a great guy to work with. Anything else on that? The technical issues, Barb sufficiently addressed every one of their questions that, so there were no changing to the billing or the meter readings. It was all correct.
No, we've just worked the Fitchburg meter, the timing of it all. The next bill will also be longer. I was under the assumption we were doing it the 15th to the 15th. The next one was going to go for a different period. We're going to try to get it as close to the 1st as possible. And that was,
So was there any discussion, because we need a commitment from Flow Assessment
yep,
that
on the 25th.
on the 20-something, 5th?
Right, the 25th is what Flow
We
is.
would get the,
We'll get the readings as of the 25th by
Right.
the 1st to send to
you
Fitchburg.
go.
Because they need time to accumulate it and look at it. So I had been working with the 15th to the 1st, but Joe wanted it a little closer to the actual bill period, so. Anyway, so we're getting there.
almost a process.
Almost.
Okay.
Grease trap compliance is just on there.
Yeah, we've talked enough about grease trap compliance. We're within one person of the dues, which I'm sure will be coming very soon, and then follow up with reports.
Yeah.
And then administrative matters.
Administrative, Highfield Village, the memo was sent to the planning board, it was in the packages, I just wanted you to know it did go to the planning board. Minutes from 2/11 were sent in the packages, I'm not sure if people had time to review. I did talk with the clerk's office, and,
You want a motion to pass the minutes?
okay,
That's what
we're working
that's
up
what
to
we're
that.
looking for.
Yep.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of the last meeting?
Thank you. Second?
I'm
And
waiting
then,
for
and then
Barbara.
discussion,
Oh.
we'll,
Second.
okay. Any discussion anywhere, Barb? You're,
No, I was just going to
Starting to
say
say
that
something?
from here on, we're going to just, the clerk's office said it wasn't necessary that we always have the signed by virtue of the following minutes that say the minutes were approved is all that they require. This was superfluous, and she said it was not. Because I had an issue with a typo, and I'm like, oh, do I have to have them re-signed? She goes, you don't even have to do that. The minutes of the following meeting that say the minutes are approved is usually what a lot of most of the commissions do. So, that was all I was going to say.
okay.
Need a vote?
Otherwise, but this is the last one that'll have it on there, because that's how I sent it out. Okay?
Do we get to sign it?
Yes, please. Those present, is Carl, Butch, and Mike.
All three of us.
All right. Dave. I heard the second.
So who seconded that
Did we all
motion?
approve?
David
Dave
did.
seconded.
No, Dave wasn't there. You can't second it.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I know you weren't there either.
Yes, he was.
Yes, I was.
Oh, I thought Jay was. Oh, you're the one. I knew there's two guys
It
missing.
was two.
Thank you.
Mike, yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Oh, jeez, how could I forget?
Okay,
Discussion?
vote, yes. Mike seconded.
Mike
And all
seconded.
approved.
Discussion?
He wants discussion.
Oh, yes.
He wants discussion.
I see Mr. Bellato asked about a missed meeting policy. Is there a missed meeting policy?
There is, when I looked through the charter, there is only a petition that's required like 100 signatures. There is no thank you, Mike. There's no percentage of meetings, et cetera.
So the missed meeting, is that just a general discussion, or did you
Yeah.
have a,
Well, other boards I belong on have it.
okay.
Miss meetings without any, but, just the fact
Well,
that,
was that directed for anybody, or just a general requirements?
only if you have a guilty conscience.
Well, I don't know how the meeting went down, but Mr. Chair, if I could take
Yes, sir.
just a minute. When I came on this board, I volunteered and was elected to serve the town of Lunenburg. But I do have 3 principles that I follow. And one is my first responsibility is to my wife, to my family, the McDonald family. My second is to my job, and my third is the town of Lunenburg. It's very tough to juggle that, and it's very tough to work on committees and to volunteer for committees. And I urge people at home to come out. We have openings. I encourage that. It's rewarding. But if for some reason my job interferes with this commission, I'll be the first one to resign. And I would make it easy on everyone that if I am not doing my job, because I do have my responsibilities, I am a nationwide contractor. I do have to go out of town. I try to let you know, as the chair and Barbara know. But if I'm not doing the job, or if I'm putting too much burden on the board, I will give you my resignation for the end of the month. If the board, and I would ask the board for their opinion. So I'd put a motion out there. If you feel I'm not doing my job on this commission or any other commission I do in town, I will resign at the end of the month.
I'm glad you addressed that, Dave. Certainly, since you at some level took it personally. I didn't interpret it as any personal thing at that time. If I had, I would have ruled it out of order. Personal comments are not really appropriate at these meetings. And I will say that I know very well how much effort you put into this, as well as a lot of other activities and volunteer activities you do, and it's greatly appreciated. Not just here, but outside of here. I know you do a lot of work and, communicate with me and keep me up to speed, and it is appreciated. And I would certainly hope that you would not consider resigning, and also that it would not infect your.
The concern I have, Mr. Chair, if Mr. Bellato feels that way, that if it's a personal vendetta that he's upset because I didn't vote his way in the last election, that's one thing. If it's a comment made because I'm not here, not doing my job, that bothers me. I take great pride in what I do. I could be a pain in the butt, and I apologize for that on people. I know once I'm given an assignment, I try to fulfill that. But if it's a personal thing, that's one thing.
Why
But
are you
if,
taking it personal?
let me finish. If this board, other members feel I'm not supporting them, please let me know now so I know which way I'm going. So I guess if I'm not doing the job with the other members, take a vote and I would resign. If you feel I'm doing the job, I'll be glad to stay. But the bottom line is that I just think I took this very personally, and it shouldn't be. And it shouldn't be, this commission has done a lot of great things for the town, and I look forward to working on other committees, which I am on other committees. But again, sometimes in life, you have to look at your personal life and what's more important. And sometimes when you juggle things, you drop a ball. And if I'm on the road, I'm on the road. And I'm on the road because I have to support my life and my wife. So that's the bottom line. But on the other hand, these commissions and committees throughout the town do a great job. I've worked with a lot of people who are dedicated, who work very hard, who sometimes don't get any credit. And again, I urge people at home to please come out and join a committee. Come out and support your town. It's a good thing. At the end of the day, it's very rewarding. And I was always brought up that you have to give back, and that's why I do what I do. But if I'm not doing a job, I don't want to be here either. And that's the way I kind of took it. And maybe I'm overreacting, but I don't think so. So I guess to make it easy, as I say, to cut the bait, I will do that if you members feel I'm not doing my job.
I would just like to go on record of saying, my experience here is, I feel that Mr. McDonald has gone above and beyond in just about every circumstance as far as being a member of this board, and would definitely be, I believe, a great loss to this board if this were to happen, that he's been nothing but positive. We all have conflicting schedules. I've missed a few meetings myself.
Me too.
It's part of it, but I'd like to, think that what we contribute above and beyond, it has a lot to do with it also, so.
Yeah.
So I'm going down and just saying that I do support Mr. McDonald.
I 100% support that statement, Mike, and I appreciate that, that you say that. And I think tonight was, as every other night, but just tonight's fresh in my memory, it was very clear, the contributions you make, and I think you were the very first one to step up and volunteer to lead some of our projects. And that's just a real-time example of your commitment and, willing to take on even more on top of everything you have. And this board, I certainly support you 100%. But I think the other members have to speak for themselves. But I 100% behind you, and would be devastated, and it would be devastating for this board if you chose to leave.
Thank you. And on another note, I'm going to miss Jay. I mean, Jay and I go back now a lot of years. He's a good boy. And I seen him work side by side on the DPW feasibility, the DPW, the building. Him and I kind of jumped into this sewer division together. And you're going to be well missed. I love you, man. And I hope you would reconsider. But to you, and the best endeavors for you. You know how I feel about you. That's never going to change.
Thank you, David. I support you. You've done a good job here as well. And I'll miss working with the board also. It's, like I said, it's been a great experience being here, working with everybody.
I wish you well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David.
Just invoices.
Invoices.
Two invoices I've got from Lemonster and from Flow Assessment. Lemonster's came in as it was expected, as kind of, my spreadsheet shows, based on the usages, she came in with the amount. I expected it was $56,713.70, and then there were two adjustments due to errors in her fact sheets is how she delivers her information, and we had a couple errors this time. Small, $91 and $77. So the adjustment was made, and the amount we will be. She made the first, the $91.40 is showing here. The second one has not yet been, but we have her proof that it's been processed on her side. So the amount we're actually approving is this $56,544.61.
And how does this look against what we would expect it to be in our budget and all these?
We have, I just did that. There, we'll have to do a transfer. But as you guys have noted, the Fitchburg is lower and the Lemonster is higher.
Just from line to line.
Right, yes. So we're okay. It's high, but we have it within the same, the same line item, same account number, actually. Fitchburg is and Lemonster's share, so it's not a concern at this point. The other one is Flow Assessment.
Pass that down to Mike.
It's the standard, basically standard. It's a 3-month bill, November, December, January. It's right in line with the way the contract is written. I didn't say the amount out loud. What's the amount?
$2,375.01.
Thank you. 237501. That was it. We had one more pump station report come in. I don't know if you want it, or you want me to include it in the next package.
I would put it in the next package unless there's something.
No, it was all.
They've become
Pat, I know, that's nice.
happily boring.
And that's all I had. Next
Okay.
regular meeting is on the 11th at the DPW.
Okay, great. And we'll invite Pat or
Right, Pat
someone
and
to the
Jamie.
next meeting, and Jamie, appointment for Jamie.
And then we will have the FinCom FY15 budget presentation on the 27th of March. You want it noted.
Yes. I have some work to do.
Mr. Chair, if I could take a moment, I
Yes.
don't know if you know, Mr. Slattery is retiring from town government, town committees. He's been serving it for over 40 years, so I just want to say congratulations to Mr. Slattery on everything he's done for the town. So he deserves he deserves a pat on the back. He's a good guy.
Thank you for acknowledging that, Dave. Okay, I would, unless there's any other comments from the board, commission, I would,
Motion to adjourn.
motion, yes, thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you all very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.